I am now being joined on the news by a virologist and healthcare research scientist, Dr. Kolawole Oladipo, to discuss this development in South Africa. Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us on the news.
Thank you for having me on the news.
Let's understand something about Omicron. What is the transmissibility of these newly found variants?
I think from the study and report so far, well, what scientists notice is that Omicron has more than 32 mutations on the spike surface glycoprotein, and this has accounted for its high transmissibility. What it means does that it has a chances of being transmitted carried from one person to the other at a higher rate than other variants that we have. And one thing funny about this variant is that even an asymptomatic person without symptoms could actually have this virus.
Now, there is this growing global concern about Omicron, the new coronavirus variant that first emerged in Europe. What makes Omicron different from previous variants?
Yeah, like I said, one of the things that make it different is a mutation. It has 32 mutations on the surface of the spike glycoprotein. And that's why people are envisaging that the vaccines may not be enough to combat that variant. But yet now, there is no study that has substantiated that for now. So it's still currently under study. It is likely, it is maybe, because not all mutations are deleterious. But one thing that I've been sure about it is that its transmissibility is very, very high, because the mutation seen on the surface glycoprotein is higher than that we have seen in Delta variant.
Well, you talked about the mutation, but then do you think we need new vaccines for these new mutations of the variant? Well, or the available vaccines that we have now can actually handle the severity of the disease?
Well, there's something to worry about, like I have said, some on different platforms. I will start an example. For instance, if somebody is conversant with Europe and US, there is something we call flu vaccine. Flu vaccine is the vaccine that is given yearly based on the strain that is circulating. So only what it's been done is that once the vaccine in use presently, it's been verified in the laboratory and been discovered that it is not, it cannot protect people sufficiently as compared to others, then such vaccine will be updated. And that is why for flu vaccine, we have updates of the vaccine every year based on the strain that is circulating. So because we are now dealing with RNA virus, which mutates generally and most of the time, there is nothing to worry about, in the sense that even if this one we have is not capable of protecting us, there will be need to update the vaccine and it will be capable of protecting us from Omicron. So there is nothing to fear. We have available tools that will make this achievable within a short period of time.
Well, in terms of protections, Europe and some other foreign countries have placed travel restrictions on African countries. What's your take on that? Do you think that's a viable way of containing the spread?
Well, I don't think it's a viable way from my own perspective, because one is that we can't blame South Africa for making this known to every one of us. They have done what is good as a scientist in order to make sure that we are being alerted of a particular strain that is going on. Even they are saying they are doing traveling ban, now they have been discovering cases in their countries. So what is expected of us is to put appropriate measures in place by updating the type of test to be done. And once that test is done, that can fix out different strains and determine if you are eligible to travel or not, instead of putting a travel ban on those countries that have been affected. So it's not a good idea from my own perspective.
Well, African countries have had issues with vaccine distribution, but then in what ways do you think they should handle this vaccine inequity?
Yeah, I think one of the ways that we have to do is that African countries also should look inward and see how we can have our vaccine being produced from us, so that we will not be at the mercy of the Western world before we can get the vaccine. Actually, I knew that there's a transfer of technology that WHO was proposing. I think there is one in South Africa now. So if we can have more African countries where this vaccine is being produced, I think it will solve the problem rather than waiting for the Western world. And African Union should come up with a roadmap in which we have our own vaccine, not even waiting for donations. It's only what is being donated to Africans that we are actually using. Most of the Western world have bought most of this vaccine even before the clinical trial has been completed. So making it difficult for us to get the vaccine. So Africans should invest more in that vaccine.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kolawole Oladipo, for joining us on the news.
Thank you for having me.